الغوث الغوث خلصنا من النار يا غوث الغوث خلصنا من النار يا رب.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه الشريف. Alhamdulillah, with the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His opportunity that He has given us and the life and the tawfiq that He has given us, we are able to welcome another month of Ramadan Kareem into our lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the health and the ma'rifah to be able to practice in this month of Ramadan, to fast, to pray, to do as many good deeds as we can, inshaAllah. And may He accept whatever we are able to present to our Creator in this blessed month of Ramadan Kareem. And alhamdulillah, with God's tawfiq and the support of our mu'mineen, we are able to bring another few clips of Jawshan Al-Kabir, a few reflections on this magnanimous dua that we have that explains to us the intricacies of Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In our last year's Jawshan Kabir reflections, we were able to come to section number 6, and we started looking at the first two subsections inside this section number 6. And as we know that most of, only one has more than 10 names, but most of the sections of Jawshan Al-Kabir have 10 names or 10 attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala each. So when we look at this number 6, we have God talking about His attributes and also using the ayat, the signs that He has created to explain the attributes. So among the 10 segments of this section number 6 of Jawshan Al-Kabir, you have 5 segments where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Everything experiences this. Everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created experiences this. So when He talks about the ayat, He's saying everything. And in the other 5 segments of this section number 6, Allah is specifically talking about the jibal, the samawat, the ard, the ra'ad, which is the lightning, and then ahli mamlikateh, every soul that inhabits the mamlikat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the lands and the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's interesting to see that in this segment number 6, you have 9 sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The 10th one is manfi, something that Allah is not. And then He is explaining this sifat in comparison to His ayat. 5 are kulli shay, and then the other 5 He is naming jibal and samawat and ard. So let's get to what I'm trying to say. Last year we came up to the 2 ayat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the 2 sifat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing out in this segment number 6 are Allah's adama, His grandeur, and qudratih, His power. So the first 2 segments of this section number 6 start with Ya man tawada'a kullu shay'in li'azamatihi, Ya man istaslama kullu shay'in liqudratihi. So you see, it's kullu shay'in, everything is humbled in front of Allah's grandeur. Everything submits in front of Allah's power. So it's everything. So this is one thing that I want you to note, and inshallah in the next clip that I share with you, I will bring out another point that is stressed upon in this segment number, or this section number 6. But let's stick with this now and come to the 3rd segment. So the first 2 we did last year, and you can look at the last 2 clips from 2022 Jawshan Al-Kabir and you will find more details about it. But I want to now connect it with the 3rd segment of this section number 6. Ya man dhalla Kullu Shay'in Izzatih. Everything becomes dhaleel, everything becomes bent and bows down and humbled in front of the izzah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or another way of understanding this is, if we can grasp the izzah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then everything else in front of us will become smaller, will become insignificant, and only the izzat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be the priority in our lives. Now, in this section and in 2021 and 2022, we have seen many definitions of what is izzah. And for my purpose today, I'm going to take a very simple definition, and that simple definition in the context of understanding the tawheed and the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unbreakable. Something that is so powerful that you cannot break it. And that is the izzah. Aziz is someone or something that is unbreakable. This is one of the understandings of the word izzah. So when we say Allah is Aziz, what are we trying to say? Is that God is unbreakable. Whatever we think is powerful and majestic in this life, at some point or the other, it will break. It will break. There will be something higher than it, then it will break it. If we think we are powerful, then death will break us. Disease will break us. Calamities will break us. But when we think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is Aziz, as in nothing can break Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Astaghfirullah, even the thought of that is so difficult to fathom. But this is what is meant by Ya man dhalla kullu shay'in li'izzatih. Everything is powerless in the front of Allah's might and power. He is unbreakable. Now, to make this very simple, I am reminded of that hadith of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi afdalu salati wassalam, when the Roman emperor sends a letter to him and he asks him, what are the 10 things, one more aziz than the other? Aziz here meaning one more powerful than the other. And I think this helps us understand the spectrum of things that we think this is Aziz, but we find out no, something else will break it, something else will break it, until we come to that nihaya, to the point which is unbreakable, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does Imam Hassan alayhi salam say? He asked that person, so what is the most strong, thing in front of you? Mighty. Izzah also means mighty. What is the mightiest thing that you can think of? And the man says, it's the rock. We think jibal, we think mountains, and we think rocks. So Imam Hassan alayhi salam tells him, the rock is a very strong and mighty creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but something is more mightier than the rock. And what is that? Imam says it's the iron. Why? Because iron can split the rock. You have these tools which you can bring that are made of iron, and when you clash the iron on top of the rock, you will break the rock. So if we think rock is unbreakable, mountains are unbreakable, we know that iron can break the rock. But then iron is also not mighty, because fire can break iron. Fire can melt the iron. So is fire unbreakable? Fire is also not unbreakable, because water can extinguish fire, or earth can extinguish fire. But in this example that the Imam uses, it is water. So is water unbreakable? Is water the mightiest thing? Imam says no. Mightier than the water is the cloud that carries the water. So is the cloud mighty? Is the izzah stops at the cloud? The Imam says no. Mightier than the cloud is the wind that moves the cloud. So is the wind the mightiest thing? No, not again, because mightier than the wind is the angel who blows the wind. So the angel is mightier than the wind. So is the angel of the wind the mightiest thing? Imam says no. Even mightier than the angel of the wind is the angel of death, because eventually the angel of death will come to the angel of wind and take his ruh, will take his spirit, his soul. So then is angel of death the mightiest? Says no, death is mightier than the angel of death. Why? Because death will come to the angel of death as well. He will also die one day. So is death the mightiest thing, the unbreakable thing? Says no, because death is from the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So mightier than death is the amr. Amr is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The amr, when people ask the Prophet in the Quran, they are asking you about the ruh, they are asking you about death. Tell them all this is from the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So mightier than death is the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Imam ends this by saying, Nahnu ulul amr. We are the ones who are the ulul amr, the people who Allah has deposited his amr with, or made custodians of his amr. So of course, even mightier than the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. So the mightiest thing is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is unbreakable, because everything that we think, even the Ahl Bayt alayhimu salam, death comes to them. Disease overtakes them. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that is unbreakable. There is nothing that matches the izzah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we understand this, or if anything understand this, the Jawshan Kabir, what does it say? Ya man dhalla kullu Shay'in li'izzatih. Once you understand the izzah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the immediate effect of that it will be on anything is that they will become dhalil, and they will become humble in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this month of Ramadan Kareem, that is what we are trying to do. We are trying to cultivate this humbleness in ourselves by fasting and by praying. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept the time that you are taking out to spend a few minutes of the reflection of Jawshan Al-Kabir, and may Allah elevate the status of all the marhumin in whose name we are able to bring this clip to you. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.